That is the most stressful 30 seconds of my life every week.
So first there's the countdown, which in and of itself. Okay, remember last week I told you that it slows down?
Yes.
Did you notice that this time?
No, I was frantically getting a drink, making sure that I had nothing on my plate. I was like trying to get ready. I was checking the mirror. I was closing my door. No, I did not notice any of that. I was like, why didn't I do all of this before I joined the live stream? Why do I wait for these 30 seconds?
I thought the same thing. So if you can see over my shoulder here, we have a dog. It's a dog gate because my kids are old. And during meetings, for work, it just stretches out behind me. And I'm not really worried because I can blur the background and stuff. But I was like, it looks like I'm in a jail cell. So I had to rip and close that. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that for you. It just makes me happy, Dan Tate. Well, this week, Dan, we have someone who I've known since he was a wee child. Not really, but he was a teenager when I met him. And he's now a very, very, very important figure at First Community Bank here in Layton.
Okay.
And, not only that, he's an arts supporter. He's super talented. You actually saw him last weekend in Forever Plaid at the Terrace Plaza Playhouse. So he directed it. He was in it. He's a really good guy. And so I'm super excited to have him. Or should we bring him in?
Well, unless everybody wants to keep staring at us, which that's very unlikely.
I mean, I feel like, no, it's a no-go. Brady is much better to stare at than all of us. All right, this is Brady Stratton, everybody. Hey, Brady.
Hi, guys. Oh, thanks for that nice introduction, Brandon. You made me seem more important than I am, but thank you.
That's not true. You're going to introduce yourself in a second, but like you've had a pretty great career. Like you're launching into the world of banking, and like as I was reading through your bio, getting ready for everything and learning more about you, I was like, he's really important. Like we should probably call him like sir when we see him nowadays.
No, good. Thank you for that, though.
So this is Brady Stratton, everybody. Brady, why don't you take a second and introduce yourself? Tell us about you.
All right. So I'm Brady Stratton. I am the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Sales at First Community Bank, Utah. And we are headquartered here in Layton, Utah, but we have branches throughout all of northern Utah. I've been with the bank for 11 years now. Started off on the teller line and worked my way up through marketing. And I love community banking, and we're going to get to that topic in a minute. But I work with a great team here, and as Brandon said, I really do love the arts as well. Grew up doing theater since I was 12, all over the community and in high school. That's where I met Brandon. He was my personal dresser in the Will Rogers Follies. He dressed me backstage.
It was epic too. We went from a full like jeans costume to another pair of jeans. Like we were pretty good at it. There's a video.
I got applause every time, so that goes to Brandon. Off stage and out of my office, I am a husband and father. I've got 3 little girls who are all princesses in my eyes. So I'm very expert at hosting princess tea parties at my house. And yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
So when you were growing up, what did you want to be when you grew up?
It changed based on my age. At first it was a dentist, and then it was a psychiatrist, and then it was an architect. And then I actually graduated high school, went on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, came back and wanted to be a math teacher at a high school because I love education and I love teaching. But I started working here at this bank and completely switched my major. So I graduated in business administration and finance instead, and then took on marketing. So it's been all over the place.
That's an interesting path. I didn't know that you wanted to be a teacher at one time. That's interesting.
Yeah. I feel like we like similar things. I ended up on the compliance side of things for my professional job, but it's kind of interesting because I went through times when I wanted to be a teacher, and then things just kind of fell into my lap, and I was like, I guess this will work.
Yeah, it always works out. But I do love teaching. I mean, those teachers, especially nowadays in our education in our schools, they're so important, and I don't think they get the credit they deserve. So,
snaps to that. Snaps to that. So I guess I want to know at what point. So you started working at the bank. When you started working there, it was First National Bank.
Yes.
You've since gone through a merger and a name change and all of that, which we can talk about later if we want to. But at what point when you were working as a teller did you go, I'm interested in what this community bank is doing and I want to be more involved?
It was, a few months in after I went through the initial training and got to really know my job and also the customers that we were serving. And I would go home at the end of the day so fulfilled, because for me, at least in the culture that we have at this bank, it's not just doing transactions and, cashing checks, giving people money. It's really helping people. Our bank's purpose statement is actually building our communities one dream at a time. And so being able to go home and feel like I made a difference in somebody's life was so fulfilling. I mean, you think about the most important things in a person's life, if you've got family and work and education and stuff, but money is also on that top priority list. And it's also one of the biggest stressors in life. And so the fact that we are on the front line helping people with their finances and helping them be successful with those is very fulfilling. And that's, once I realized that, and once that got into my head, I'm like, you know what, I could do this. I could make a long-term career of this. And I didn't really know I'd end up in the marketing side of things, which is also fun, but I did know that I wanted to stay in banking, specifically community banking.
Interesting. Full disclosure before we move on. We On Pitch Performing Arts is a member of your bank, just so that's out there. And your First Community Bank is also a sponsor, which we are very thankful of. And I'm going to follow it up by saying, we joined First Community Bank because of what you're saying. Like every time I've been in there, every time I've worked with you or with Dawn or Jessica at the main branch, we have never felt like we're anything other than a partner. And like it's been a really amazing experience for me to look at banking as somebody who actually cared about me instead of was just like, I don't care, you get an overdraft fee or whatever. You know what I mean? Like So that is really, it's been an amazing thing for me to look at banking a little different as well. Dan, sorry, you were going to say something.
Thank you for that.
So I'm actually going to ask a question which is outside of the normal, what we would normally ask in this question, because I'm really genuinely curious about your opinion. And so first, I've got a 2-part question. How long have you been in marketing? And then the second part to that is how has marketing changed since you've been there?
That's a great question.
I feel like it's changed dramatically, but I mean, I'm just not to put any pressure on you for a specific answer, but I'm curious.
So I've been in the marketing role for going on 7 years now. And it seems like there's changes every year and multiple changes within that year. We see trends in marketing, not only in banking, but in all industries, that things are definitely going more digital. Customers are online, specifically in social media. And so that's been a big thing, adopting a social media strategy for our business, and other businesses are doing the same. In fact, I just attended a little lunch and learn seminar yesterday that Layton City hosted over at Valentine CPA. And it was all about social media marketing and how businesses can get involved. And it's just so interesting to see those trends go more towards that. But at the same time, traditional marketing methods and advertising methods like print and billboards, flyers, and stuff still has a place in it all. So it's just an interesting mix, and you have to find the right balance to reach your targeted audience and make sure you're communicating what you want.
Okay, so before we really talk about community banks, I want to know how you keep marketing interesting for a bank.
Great question.
Thank you.
Because banking, I'm going to just play off of that question a little bit, Brandon, and make an assumption that you're not saying, but banking can be very boring. Be like very vague and be like, because I get asked all the time when I tell people I'm in marketing in a bank, they're like, well, what do you market? What do you sell? Yeah. I'm like, great question. So yeah, we do have products and services, obviously, that we market and sell. But for us, to really engage the audience that we're speaking to, we try to tell stories, and we try to tell stories and really connect to the emotions of a person's financial well-being. and help them see what is possible financially. And so it's through those stories and those different events and ads that we put together that hopefully communicates that message. So for us, it's less about maybe the product itself. That definitely comes into play, but it's more about connecting to the heart of banking and finances.
Sure. That's great. So this is not, and I want to be really clear, I don't know a ton about banking, so I apologize in advance, but tell me what the difference is between a community bank and, say, a big national bank. What's the difference, and why are they important in our communities?
I love that question. And I'm going to preface it by sort of laying out the differences in banks. So you've got your national big, huge banks like your Wells Fargo, your Chase, and your US Bank, Bank of America, and they all serve a purpose. And then you've got your more regional banks. I would consider a regional bank even like Zion's Bank here in Utah, much bigger, spread throughout multiple states. And then you've got your local community banks, like First Community Bank. Other examples in Utah would be like Bank of Utah, Cache Valley Bank, Alta Bank. And we won't dive into the credit union part of things today because there's a lot that could go on there. But credit unions traditionally classify themselves on that more community level as well, even though some of them are growing into more regional presence. They have more regional presence nowadays. But so community banks are down on the line on that totem pole, if you will. There's two big differences in my mind. Number one difference is if you think of a big national bank like a Chase or a Wells Fargo, they might have a lot of options they're offering to customers, but they're really not in your community. They are headquartered somewhere else. Wells Fargo, I think, is headquartered in San Francisco. And while they have people working in your community and branches, their focus is not necessarily on the community. From my experience and what I've seen, their focus is more on a national scale. And it's not to diss them or anything, and not to diss anybody who banks with them, because they're great. And they serve a purpose, but a lot of their priority, I guess you could say, is focused more on the corporate level and how are they making money at the corporate level and paying their executives and achieving their national strategic plans. And that doesn't always trickle down to our communities. So if you're looking for a partner, as Brandon mentioned, who is interested in helping your business thrive in your community, or somebody who's interested in actually building the community you live in, making sure it's a healthy environment, your national banks aren't always hitting that mark. They may sponsor things. They may, have their name, on some logo out there or other big event, but it doesn't necessarily always translate to actual helping the community. Your regional banks do a little bit better, but community banks are actually involved in the community. We've not only do our people, the employees work in the community, they live in the community, the executives of the bank, the decision makers, and even the board members of the bank are actual community members. So they know what's going on in Layton, in Ogden, in Park City, in Salt Lake, and they are able to make decisions for the customers and for the businesses that will tie into those community factors and help grow the community in general. So if we didn't have community banks, I honestly don't believe, my opinion is, and others have said this in banking articles, our communities would not be as successful as they are. Community banks are like the foundation of what drives the commerce and the financial stability of our communities. So they serve a very important role. Another big difference is you look at a national bank and you've got levels and levels and levels and levels of hierarchy and decision makers. And I'll paint a quick picture for you. Let's pretend that you, Brandon, want to get a loan to help fund OPA and expand. If you were to go to a national bank, oftentimes that loan would go through the approval process, and it could take weeks to months to get that up the corporate ladder to where it needs to go to get approved, just because those decision makers are not here locally, and they don't truly know your business, right? Whereas a community bank, you go in, apply for that same sort of loan, you can get that decision made within a couple of weeks. And the decision makers know you. They sit down with you. They get to know your business. and they're able to tailor that loan or that product or service more to meet your specific needs instead of just here's an out of the box solution, hope it fits you.
Sure. So one of the things that we've learned as we've sort of embarked on opening our theater is that a lot of times theaters feel a little bit more like an island instead of a group of people helping each other. And so we're working really hard. That's one of the reasons we like this Community Matters chat, is we're trying really hard to bring more people together in other theaters to be, because the stronger the arts are, the stronger they are at every theater in Utah, the stronger they are at every theater in Utah, right? So we're trying to create that. Is there a sense in the banking world, especially amongst community banks, that there is a community of banks, or is it sort of like very like, I don't want to, the word that's coming to my mind is cutthroat, and I don't mean that, but like but you know what I mean? Like, is it so like, is every customer like a fight for you, or is there, how do you work with other banks? How do you guys work together? Does it happen? Sorry, that's a weird question, I know, but
no, I think I get what you're aiming at, and I think it's so mixed and varied, and especially, I mean, if you throw in the regional and national banks, it's very different. But community banks in general, I feel like there's a good camaraderie between a lot of us because our mission really is focused on the community. And so while that natural competition will exist for customers, I feel like generally speaking, the purpose is to help build the community, and however we do that is great. We do have a lot of committees and groups in banking, especially within Utah. Like there's the Utah Bankers Association, where a lot of banks have representation there, and a lot of networking opportunities. And from what I've seen, most of the time, we're all willing to help each other and build on best practices. Our situation's a little unique and actually really fun because we are a division of Glacier Bank. And Glacier Bank is headquartered in Montana, but there's 16 divisions throughout the Western United States, and we're all known as sister divisions. And we're not directly in competition with each other because we're all technically part of the same overarching bank, but we're able to function on a community level, which is great. And we're able to bounce ideas off of each other. So I'm able to connect with my marketing cohorts in Colorado and say, hey, have you had a success in running a community campaign or sponsoring this business or doing something there? And I'm able to bring it back here to Utah and apply it. And we've gotten a lot of great collaboration out of that. So it's been fun to see what can happen when community banks do come together in that way.
So I know that there's a lot of different banks have different focuses, different priorities. And, you know, again, not recognizing and me not knowing the difference between how a community bank works versus, you know, a regional or a large conglomerate of banks works. Like, does First Community Bank have a focus? Is it more consumer based, commercial based? Or is it a good mix of the two? Does it lean one way or another?
I honestly think it's a good mix of the two. We've got solutions and services for everyone. We've got really specific business solutions that are great and are very competitive in our market, but we've also got a whole suite of solutions for consumers as well. And so for us, because consumers and businesses are all part of the community, for us, our focus is the community. That's why when we had to rebrand ourselves from First National Bank to another name when we joined Glacier, we chose First Community Bank because for us, it is that focus. If our communities are thriving, that means that our consumers are thriving, our businesses are thriving. And so we decided to do a more overarching umbrella like that than just say we are just a business bank and that's all.
So you mentioned earlier you have 3 beautiful daughters, which I obviously have seen, and they are beautiful. And I happen to know your family quite well. You have a great family, and you are involved in the arts, and you have a great job. How do you balance all of that with, you know, what you've got to do at work and what you need to do at home, and also finding time for yourself?
So, that's a great question. Great support, you know, a team.
Yeah.
We know in the theater world, you know, our techs and our stage crew and everything are just as important, just as superstars as the leads on stage. And so it's the same thing. I've got an amazing supportive wife. I've got an amazing team here at work who supports me in my endeavors here. And it's just, I don't know, prioritizing. Family for me is always first. And as I prioritize that and then providing for them through the job, I'm able to always have time to support everything else that I need to. So it's been a long time since I've been on stage. This run with Forever Plaid that we just closed a few weeks ago, that was actually my first time on stage in 7 years. So it was a little bit of a juggling experience for me, especially with the family and kids now. So, but it was fun.
Are you going to do it again?
Yes, maybe not in the near future month-wise, but there's some opportunities next year that my wife and I both want to audition for. And my daughters are, especially my oldest, is really getting involved in dance and performing. She'll put on shows in our living room. And so I'm going to give her a couple more years to get some experience. And then we'd love to have her audition for a show as well and get her involved.
How does First Community Bank support you as a family, as a person? Like, do they support you when you wanted those things? Like, tell us more about the work environment there.
The work environment here is a family in and of itself. We've got a culture that is so strong and so family oriented. The employees don't leave. We've got tenured employees who have been here over 40, 30, 20 years, and that is the majority of the people. And so it was really cool when I had this opportunity to direct and be in Forever Plaid. We had a night where a huge majority of my coworkers and other branches came to support us. And that's par for the course. I mean, they're always doing that, whether it's a baby shower or a sports event or whatever. We're always supporting each other like a family. So it was really cool. And they put it in the newsletter here at work and said, hey, go support. And actually, one of my coworkers, the manager of our Clearfield branch, Matt Ford, was also in the show with me. So a lot of good bank representation.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to know if there's this is completely unrelated to banking, so prep yourself for that. Is there a role in a theater production that you haven't played that you still desperately want to?
My dream role is Archibald Craven in The Secret Garden. And sadly, very few theaters will do The Secret Garden, and I'm not sure why. It is one of the most beautiful shows that I have been in and seen, and that is my dream role.
That is so funny you bring that up because, first of all, I met your family doing that show because back at the amphitheater, I don't know, however many years ago. Let's just pretend it was 2 years ago. But Secret Garden comes up all the time in discussions when I hear theaters talking about seasons and things like that. And you're absolutely right. Hardly anybody does it because I don't know why. I don't know if people don't come. I'm not sure exactly why, but it never seems to make the leap from let's talk about it to let's do it.
I know, it's crazy. And it's got some well-known songs. I mean, Lily's Eyes is always in those Broadway duet books between men and stuff. So I don't know what it is, but I think the message of it is beautiful. And I'd love to play that part one day.
So go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to ask, just because Brandon may know you, but I don't. So you directed Forever Plaid. How many shows have you directed?
That was my first directing debut.
Oh, okay.
So I've performed. I've lost count of how many I've performed, and like I said, I've been doing it since I've been 12. So I don't know how many I've been in.
So then I'm going to follow that up. How did you like directing?
It was a really great experience. It was definitely an item on my bucket list that I always wanted to check off. So that was fun. There was a unique challenge where I was director and also in the show. And so I had a hard time knowing what was happening on stage because I was right in the middle of it. I didn't know how it looked necessarily or sounded. So luckily for me, I had an amazing musical director and choreographer who stood by my side and were my eyes and ears for the whole thing to give us feedback because it's hard being in it and directing it. I wouldn't advise it necessarily to everyone.
So what are your goals at First Community Bank? You personally?
I would just continue. I mean, I feel like I've been very fortunate. You had mentioned how I've had a good career, and I do. I love the career I have here, and my goal is to continue to grow the marketing department. I was able to hire an assistant last year, which has been great, and it's been nice to get another perspective and flavor and marketing with her, and she's doing amazing. But continue to grow that, but also to continue to run campaigns. We launched a few different campaigns last year, our community spotlight campaign and our community business award campaign, that really gives back to the communities, and just to continue to do things like that, to find ways to spotlight businesses like OPA, to spotlight organizations that give back so much in the community and help support them.
How can people, I mean, obviously other than becoming a member of the bank, which I strongly encourage everyone to do. Again, I will sing it from the rooftop. And I'm not just saying that.
No, you're not.
So, but how can people get involved to help you guys with your mission to better our community? Is there a way besides just being a bank member?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do a lot of social media information and post about the organizations that we are spotlighting or helping. And so following us on social media is a great way. You can look us up at FCB Utah for Instagram, or First Community Bank Utah on Facebook. But our website also has a community section up in the top right corner. And under that community section, it lists who we're currently working with as a spotlight, what we're doing with business awards, and anything community oriented. And we also do fun giveaways. We're doing giveaways now on social media too. So, and you don't have to be a bank customer to enter those. So follow us and you could win something.
I love that. Every time I go in, I'm out there. You guys are always like giving away new things, like for new customers or new members. And I'm always like, will you cancel my account so I can start over? I want that.
Hey, Brandon, you can still get free gifts though. We have a tell a friend program. So if you tell your friend like Dan Tate here to come and bank with us and he opens an account, we'll give you both a free gift.
Yes. That was good marketing you just did there,
Brady.
Brady.
We've got a pretty nice knife set coming up in the lineup later this year that could add to your kitchen and culinary experience.
I love that for you, but I can't tell you the last time I cooked a meal in my house. Sorry. So last question, and well, maybe sort of last question that might come with a follow-up. You've played a lot of roles. We've talked about that. What's your favorite and why?
I have three.
That's fine.
So number one, Frankie and Forever Plaid, which I was just in. I've done the show 3 times, and I just love the message of that show. Robert Martin and the Drowsy Chaperone, just because that is a fun show. And then I think my all-time favorite, though, was Will Parker in Oklahoma.
Interesting. I thought you were going to pull out Will Rogers. I thought Will Rogers would be.
I know. Everybody says that. And Will Rogers was a chance of a lifetime, and it will always be one of my favorites. But I don't know what it was about Oklahoma. That show has always been, I mean, it's a classic, and it's always one of my favorite. But I just had, I don't know if it was the cast that was so fun or the director, or it was a great opportunity.
Interesting. All right. Nice. All right. Brady, it's your last chance to tell us why community banking matters and why we should join First Community Bank. No pressure. Hit it.
Okay, here's my elevator pitch. So as I mentioned, if you care about your community as a place to raise your family, as a place to thrive, and as a place to experience the amazing life you've been given, I would encourage you to choose a partner for your financial needs that will actually give back and help you build that community and help you fulfill the goals you have for your community and for your family. And like Brandon mentioned, he comes into the bank and we know him by name. We know Opa, and that will be the same experience for anybody who banks with us. We get to know you on a personal level and we become a partner. It's not just, you're not just a number. You're an actual friend and partner of the bank. And our goal is to help you achieve your financial dreams. So that's why community banking is so awesome.
Brady, you're the best. You are absolutely a delight. So thank you for everything you do for the community and for all the arts organizations. It's amazing. First Community Bank is an amazing partner to lots of people, and especially the arts.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Brady.
Yep. We'll see you guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Dan, how cool is Brady?
Brady's pretty cool.
I know. He just makes me happy. In fact, I was going to point out, and I should have done it while he was on the camera, but it's right there. Oh, right there. There's Will Rogers. Oh, gosh. And there's Brady as... Okay, wait. Now I'm pulling it off the wall. Just wait. It's worth it. Brady's watching on his camera, and he's like, "Oh boy, ay, ay, ay." There's Brady when he was just a wee babe in high school playing Will Rogers and the Will Rogers Follies. So anyway, and there's a picture of Brady on the giant stairs. Anyway,
Very cool.
yeah. Anyway, but I will say that when we started, I don't know if Brady knows the story. Actually, I know he knows the story. Never mind. When we started OPA, we were not with First Community Bank. We were with a different bank, and it was fine. I wouldn't say anything bad about that bank ever, but we moved over to First Community Bank, and I have never regretted it because from day one, they have been absolutely great to work with. 100% feel like they care about us and what we're doing and the community and all of that. So anyway, that's my elevator pitch for First Community Bank. You should join.
Well, and I can add it's only been a few years since I've been involved. Well, actually, it's been 3 years since I've been involved with the parades that OPA does. And although I see other financial institutions, First Community Bank invests in that. They're part of the community.
So cool. I know.
They're part of it. As opposed to
100% honest, I'm always envious of their float, and I have a little bit of that jealousy. Just a small bit.
I mean, I can't argue.
I know.
I almost don't like going because every year we go up and we say hi, and every year I'm like, ugh. But then I have to see how great theirs is and how not so great ours is.
Yes.
But I will say, compared to other financial institutions, which shall remain nameless, some of them literally drive a truck.
Sure, trucks are good too.
On the side.
We don't judge.
At least ours is better than that. But then there's First Community Bank, which is always the best one there. So
I know. It's because Brady. It's all because of Brady.
I'm sure.
Anyway, moving on. Next week we have Jessica Merrill from Discover Davis and Davis County Tourism and Events. We're super excited to have Jessica on. So we will make sure to be ready for that. You should join us. It's going to be a great conversation about Davis County and events and blah, blah, blah. So that's really great. So
very exciting.
Yeah. And as we always say, to end this, go support the arts, whether it's here at OPA or any live theater or art venue. Find the arts, seek them out. They need your support. So please support the arts and have the best day ever, everyone. Bye. It's awkward goodbye time.
It is. It's the worst part.